Hey guys, VigiMan456 here, and today I have a new video type that I'm going to be doing. So I've had this requested on Twitter about how exactly do I do extensions and how can I also do extensions. I've actually had a question like that before as well, and the answer I can give is that there's just not really an easy way of doing it. But it is very simple to learn. It's just a matter of practice, I guess you could say. So we're going to be going over two different ways you can make your extension. So the first is using a audio editor like Audacity. So let's go ahead and load up Audacity right here. And I forgot to load up my folder of extension examples here. You want your files readily available. I have some examples here, so we're going to be using one of those as an example. So let's go ahead and do this one, Sand Duna Spirits from Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon. And what we're going to be looking out for, there are two things you want to be doing when you're making extensions. One, look out for similar audio wave designs. Like for instance, I could tell that there is a similarity in certain areas of this music. Like here should be similar to here. No wait, it should be similar to here actually, when I think about it. Hold on. Yeah, okay, so I got it mixed up. So this area is similar to this area. So you can use visual cues to help you out on where to loop your music, or you can use audio cues, which I'll be using an audio cue example in a moment. So for right now, let's go ahead and do that example that I just showed. So what I do is I zoom it in as much as possible, so that way there's no way I can make a mistake on this. And then I trim this off, delete that, and then I think this is where I meant to do. Oh, geez, I hit zoom out. So I want to have this set right there, I believe, and then highlight all that in before I screw this up. Okay, that is... I did screw it up. But the funny part is, it almost sounds accurate in a way. That is ridiculous. That's funny to me. That's funny to me. So, since I made a mistake, let me undo what I just did here. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to do an audio cue instead. Okay, right there. After the drum beats. Like right here would be very nice. So shortly after the drum beats. I'm not sure if you know what exactly I'm talking about, but there. And hopefully we got it right this time. I find it funny that I got it wrong the first time. But yeah, basically this is kind of how I extend it, really. I listen for it, and yeah, it's pretty simple with a VGM like this because there's already a loop point available. So all you really need to do is just look for a part of the song. Like any part of the loop area will work as long as it's copying where you can go at. So once you're done with that, you can just simply highlight the ending point here and there, go to tools, go to effects, and then just choose fade out, and it'll fade out this track. and you can export the file. And if you want to export it as MP3, I'm not sure this still applies to current versions of Audacity, because I hardly ever update these softwares I get. I know it's dumb, but whatever. You need a plugin for it for exporting as MP3. I don't know why that was a thing. I thought they would fix that, but they never did. But at any rate, that's just one example. So what about we do something a little bit trickier? Like this one, for example. Now this one is very tricky, because there is no loop point. No, really, there isn't. So the best thing you can do when you don't have a song that has a proper loop point is to custom loop it. Now I'm going to showcase what I mean by custom looping here in a moment, but essentially, let me give me one moment to get this extended, and I'll explain what I just did. So just give me one moment here. And, yeah, there you go. That's an example of custom looping in a way. Basically, this music piece had no extending factors whatsoever, so what I did was, I went as far into the remix as possible, trimmed that off, and then located a part in the remix previously to give an illusion that it's looped. Now granted, this example is not perfect, it does need some ironing out here and there, but for the purpose of this video for tutorialing, it works. Like, it does work. Now, you might be wondering, why did I keep this? Well, the reason I kept that, if you haven't noticed, I don't know if you ever listened to the entire thing through, but when I do remixes, I keep the ending part. So, basically, but because I kept that, I don't have to worry about having to figure out the loop point again. So I usually keep this under a separate track, so that way I keep it, and I keep it muted in case I put it in some area that will get messed up. This is also a good area to like keep like backups if it sounded close enough and you're wanting to experiment around and you find out, oh no, that did not work, so I gotta do that all over again. So, yeah, and again, you just go to File and Export and whatnot. So, Audacity is a good option for extending. I personally think it's a little difficult in a way. For personal use, it works. For editing purposes, it works. But when I'm making a video, it's an extra step I have to do. Essentially, I'm going to have to I have to export the file, wait for that file to finish, and then put it on the video editor and let that finish rendering. Which is kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. So, yeah, honestly, Audacity is a good option for editing purposes, and that's why I want to do this one, because I think anyone can use an audio editor as a whole. It's just a matter of knowing, and that's kind of a good idea of how I did it. For another example here, let me go ahead and go with this. Sometimes you may have a song that loops properly. You may have one that you need a custom loop, and you might have one that doesn't loop at all. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so again, this song never had intentions to be looped at all, but it sounded really nice now, didn't it? It sounded pretty accurate to what I did earlier this year with this particular song. So there's that, and that's always pretty nice. Again, I would have kept the ending part because if I didn't, I don't have the file anymore, and then I would have to figure it out. I would have to, drag this and then figure out where I messed up. Although it's not, actually, come to think of it, that's not really that hard to do. You just do that and then you got your file back. Huh. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's pretty much how I make the extensions when it comes to that. I just go with audio cues, try to get as far to the ending as possible, and locate one from a previous remix, or locate somewhere near the beginning to make it sound like it's a proper loop. Pretty basic. But then you got music pieces that aren't necessarily under that category. For example, you got this remix here. And this remix, I'm sure is possible to loop through the normal means I've shown before, but it's not really that easy, and honestly, the one that I did years ago, that's not how I did it. In fact, this is actually a good example for this kind of purpose, because let me go ahead and zoom this in, not out, and let me take a listen real fast. That's not exactly how I did it, but it's very similar. I was using a video editor when doing that, but I actually never experimented around with the crossfade function on Audacity, so that was just kind of alright, actually. I'm actually kind of surprised it sounded kind of alright. But yeah, that's kind of what... So yeah, crossfade is a good option. Another option, which I'll demonstrate here in a moment, is essentially copy this. I'm gonna make a new track. And what I want, I'm gonna do this so that way it's a little easier to, well, it's gonna be good enough, so. But yeah, it's basically this method here that I use a lot. So yeah, basically that's kind of a makeshift crossfade in a way. And it kind of goes in seamlessly in that regard when you're doing extending purposes. So it makes it a little easier that way as well if you want to go that route, but it just, you have to figure out the timing for that one part you want to have it properly looped in a way to make it sound seamless. And sometimes that might take a bit of time. But there's that method as well. Now, not all remixes are going to be difficult to extend. Like this one, for example. Let me go ahead and load this up real fast. And let me go ahead and, I guess, speed this up again, maybe. So yeah, again, covers and remasters are pretty easy to extend because for the most part they're following the same structure as the original tunes, so they can be usually easy to extend. Remixes are a similar way as well at times, but not always. So remixes can vary on difficulty. And, you know, that's really about all there is to it, really. About that, with at least Audacity. I pretty much showed every single example I could think of using Audacity. The same thing, however, can apply to video editors, which is why I think Audacity kind of makes me do more work than necessary. So let me go ahead and boot this up and give you a reason why I think that. Oh, yeah. Now, essentially, I could do the same exact thing, though, on Audacity as I did on here. Like, I can like, this has a video render and see clip preview on its own, but I find it a lot easier to use it on here than Audacity, and there's a reason for that. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, but VG, you didn't have the beginning part. On the contrary, there's an easy fix. Boom. And I still keep the loop right here and there. And yeah, that's, you know, you could do a very similar method through this as you could do with Audacity. Video editors can be a good way to edit your files, but if you ask me personally, if you're going to do for a personal use, Audacity is the way to go. Additionally, not all video editors have something like this, so you might find it easier to use Audacity and then put that file onto here. The reliance that I go for the past 12 years, the most recommendation I could say is find audio files that you've listened to for a very long time. That will help you out a lot in the long run trying to figure out a loop point. Otherwise, let's say you're using a remix you never heard of before. That could be relatively difficult to extend sometimes. That might take you quite a while. There are examples I could give for audio mess ups. So sometimes you'll find a music file that can't be looped properly. In fact, let me go ahead and go back to VideoPath Video Editor and give you an example of that. So give me 1 second. Okay, so I made the example. So I'm using this because I know for a fact I can't loop this one very well without an audio error. So take a listen to this loop point. You hear that cackle? That's because one part of the audio doesn't match with the other, which means that you're going to get that audio static right there. And 12 years of messing around with extensions, I hate hearing that sound. So the only way you can work around with that is find a new loop point or try to edit the loop point you already got. Like minimize the amount of seconds you could put on there until it sounds seamless. I mean, if you're satisfied with that, that's perfectly fine. But if you want something that sounds reasonable, I guess, if you want to call it reasonable, then I would definitely recommend doing as close to it sounding like that as possible, because, you know, it could be easy to do this. Additionally, you'll find music pieces that are like stupid easy to extend, like this one, for example, because most of the music in Poke Park Wii is just silence. It's mostly just background music, so there's not really much to it. But yeah, I guess to summarize, what I usually look for is an audio cue and visual cue. Like, you know, if you recognize a particular audio wave section, then that's a good way to extend it in that regard for VGMs. For VGMs that don't have loop points, audio cues is usually a good way to get a good idea of how to extend. So, yeah, I think that's about all there is to that. I don't know what else to add here, really. I think I pretty much covered everything I could think of in this form of topic. I hope this tutorial did help you out. I don't know how long this dragged out, but hopefully it worked out. And hopefully this gives you guys a good idea of how to extend your own music pieces in the future. And yeah, I mean, I never done one of these kind of videos before, so hopefully this turned out alright. Anyways, hope this helps you out, guys. This is how I extend music for a very long time. I mainly just use VideoPad Video Editor, honestly, but Audacity I can work around with if I have to. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. So hope you guys found this useful, and I hope you guys didn't fall asleep while listening to this, because I don't think my commentary was all that great. I haven't done this in a while, but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Later.